Not everybody can move as fast as you, and not everybody moves as slow as you. You got to understand how that person learns, and then you have to teach them in the way that they can really be receptive of what you're teaching. So you got to really understand people's personality.
This is Curb Appeal, a podcast for real estate professionals who are looking to build out their business and get more deals done. In each episode, we uncover what is and isn't working when it comes to scaling in the industry. Listen in and get actionable steps to grow your real estate brand, attract more business, and expand your footprint in the industry. Okay, let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Curb Appeal. I am your host, Rachel Gombosh, and I am incredibly excited about our guest on this week's episode. I've got Rudy Johnson, a new broker and new brokerage owner based out in San Diego, California. Rudy has been identified as one of the PSAR top 3% agents in 2022. He's also a Platinum Award-winning agent of 2022, and he identifies himself as the People's Realtor. So he has just a lot of accomplishments under him, a great human being. I'm so excited to have this conversation. We are really talking about mentorship today and the importance of mentorship in developing your real estate business, whether you are an individual professional real estate agent or whether you are a brokerage owner, and what that could look like for both sides of the story. So I'm really excited to get into today's episode. As always, if you like it or love it, please like and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on all streaming platforms, all podcast streaming platforms. So with that, I'm excited to get into today's episode. Well, thank you again, as I mentioned, for joining us. I really appreciate it. I actually just want to start off with your story about how you got into real estate, because I know you come from an athletic background. And I want to start with those foundational elements that really got you into this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. I played football my whole life. I was a quarterback most of my life, and I identify with that. You know, as an athlete, sometimes we're kind of, you're spoiled or you're coddled throughout your education, because a lot of the coaches say, well, education first, but they really mean football comes first. And unfortunately, I was hardwired to feel as though football was what I identify with and how I survive. I got a full scholarship. That's how I got my bachelor's degree in college, is through football. And I played since I was 4 years old. I played professional football for a little bit. I played CFL. That's Canadian Football League. I played Arena. And when I was 23, I think, I had like this short little workout with the Chargers, and I came home and I was just so down. And my grandma, just giving her a little bit of her story, she literally came from nothing, welfare, just very poor background, all of her family. And it was just 5 kids and her mom. And this guy, his name is Piero, he introduced her to real estate. Her second husband passed away, and he left a piece of property for her. She didn't know what to do with it. This is her first time she ever owned anything. So she went to Piero, and Piero told her, hey, this is what you do. You build equity on it, you refinance, then you buy another property. So for 5 years straight, for every birthday, instead of her celebrating her birthday, she would refi and pull money out and buy another property. So she bought 5 properties in 5 years. And Wow. She was overwhelmed, didn't know what to do with it. And this was in her 50s. So this was like 50 through 60 is when she had just bought 5 properties back to back. And she just hit the gas pedal really hard. Granted, she was, you know, single mom herself with 3 kids, and my dad being one of them. But she taught me a very important lesson in my life. And that's why I gave her story, is because her story turned into my story. And she told me, like, hey, you can't rely on football forever. You may not make it to the NFL. And it was hard for me to understand that at 23. But she said, here's a backup plan that worked for me. And this guy, Piero, taught me how to do this. And I want to teach you. So she told me to get my real estate license first. And then she really is the one that encouraged me into investing in properties early and learning how this whole industry works. So at 23, I got my license. I still dabbled in football. I still felt that, you know, this real estate thing was just whatever. I'm going to make it to the NFL. But around 25, 26, reality started hitting. My baby came, had a baby on the way. And that's when I really hit the gas pedal in real estate. and became the broker that I am today.
Yeah, I love that it started out as something in your family, that's really how you were introduced to it, because I feel as though a lot of the times when new agents are introduced into the industry, it's mainly because they see the media discuss about the importance of, investing in real estate and, the commissions you can get by being a real estate professional. But I love that this actually originated from a family member, and that family member really learning what it means to harness property and use that to build equity. So I love that. And I really want to touch on how almost her mentor became your mentor. So
Yes.
We know that there's a 30% turnover rate right now. It's common. Every year there's a 30% turnover rate with new agents. And so I want to talk about the importance of having that mentor in your life to get you started on the right foot. So what were maybe some things that Piero said that he did as action steps for you to really hit the ground running so that you understood what you were doing in the industry and so that you also didn't fall flat?
Great questions. Piero, the first thing he taught me is something that I hold on to this day, and that is the importance of customer service and understanding the paperwork and understanding the legalities. Like you said, a lot of people get in this industry and they see the high commission and you see these reality shows and you want to drive the Ferrari and you want to get that big deal, but you need to understand the basics of how this works. And Piero used to make me read all of the contracts from front page to the back page. And I had to know every single word on these contracts. And what that did was it helped me understand the rules and regulations. And once you understand rules and regulations, you know how to leverage and negotiate. And that's what I do so well with my clients, is because I understand how they're protected through the laws. So I used to hate this. Like, he used to make me read everything. Piero knew everything. He still knows everything to this day. But he reads so much, and he showed me how to be an adamant reader and understand what you're getting into, understand the basics and the history of what's going on. And then you can get into the marketing and the videos and testimonials and the wealth and the contracts, the commission. But the beginning part starts with understanding the foundation of what you're doing. So I thank him forever for that. I'm forever grateful for that. And when I talk about customer service, this man, to this day, if you call him at 12 o'clock at night, no matter who you are, he's going to answer that phone and he's going to walk you through the process. He's a problem solver for everybody. And I think that that's something that I do as well for my clients, is you can call me at 1 a.m, unfortunately, and I still will answer the phone and walk you through the process. But that just showed me that's the importance of the longevity of this industry. It's not pretty. This is not a 9 to 5. This is not where you could turn off your phone. You can, but that comes with a price as well, right? If you really want to go above and beyond and you want to be the best in this industry, well, you got to put in that extra work and those extra hours, and you have to distinguish yourself from the average agent. And that's just something that he showed me as well.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And I like that you brought up, he discusses the foundational elements aren't necessarily the marketing and how that comes after, because we know it's important as a real estate professional, whether you are a singular agent or whether you are an actual brokerage, how important marketing is to get your name out there. But that marketing can only go so far, because once you have a client in front of you, if you don't know the basis of what you're talking about, if you don't understand the market and what the conditions are and what's happening in the world, you're not going to be able to land those clients, because they're already typically uneasy in this process. It's big. Buying a home is obviously really expensive. This is a huge financial investment for them. You are supposed to be that solid rock. So if you come in saying, I'm not really sure on the legalities of A, B, C, and D, I don't really know how to negotiate for you on this, this, and this, that's probably not going to go very well. But that's really great as far as like a tip of taking the time to actually read front to back what those contracts are. And I think a lot of brokerage leaders can walk away with that tidbit of information of how can you really educate your real estate professionals, your agents that are working underneath you. And that good starting point is make sure that they know what that contract is front to back. They have it memorized. They can answer any question that would come up about the contract, right? And I think it's those elements that are really important when it comes to mentorship, is what are those key educational pieces that need to be distributed out to your team.
Very good points. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I want to kind of move forward with some other valuable key pieces that Piero left you with. So obviously reading the contracts and making sure that you understood those. But from a brokerage standpoint, which you are now a brokerage owner, you're a fresh new brokerage owner, which is incredible. What are some of those key pieces that Piero taught you that you are going to take as you develop your team?
I think another key piece is being hands-on. Like I said, I remember we used to have these talks as well, is you do have to refill your cup. And I think that Piero was a part of that old school where you just keep grinding it out. But, I believe in, you do have to take your breaks. You got to understand when to refill your energy, because you got to refill other people's energy and your clients' energy. So one thing that I'd say that's a pro and a con from him is he never stopped working. He was in the office 12 at night, and it did affect him in other areas of life. And I think that, finding that balance is one thing that I'm learning, is you work hard, but you understand where you have to replenish yourself. So I've learned that through his lessons. The second thing is, like I said, he was hands-on. It doesn't matter if you were a top producing agent or this was your first deal, or you have deals, sometimes you don't. He answered everybody's question and he treated everybody the same. And I think that's very important. You don't want to show favoritism as a broker. You want to make sure everybody feels like they can come with you with their problems and you can solve them. And if you can't solve them, you're going to find somebody for them that can solve them. So that is another takeaway that I'll say that I got from him as my mentor. Definitely.
That's a great point that you brought up. Obviously, we're humans and we don't always have all of the information.
Very true.
As much as we like to advertise ourselves as the know-it-all, like you come to me, I'm your expert, I know everything. We typically don't know everything.
Right.
But I like that element of, even if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go out of my way to find the answer for you, whether that's through another professional I know, whether that's reaching out to another organization. I'm going to get that answer for you because I don't want you to walk away empty-handed with nothing. And I think that's really important, right? And I think that's where maybe there's a couple missing pieces in this process when a new agent starts, to either when they quit or when they officially take off, is what are those elements to their job that are going to set them apart from the rest? And that's one of them. I'm going to go out of my way for you.
Very true.
I want to talk about maybe some different experiences you've had, knowing that you had a mentor. Maybe whether it's an experience for you specifically or it's an experience from someone else. Where do you think that mentorship lacks in the current real estate process from the time someone gets their license to when they actually are a practicing agent? Why do you think agents don't necessarily have mentors right now?
I still have a mentor. So now my new mentor is Wesley Brown. I think it's not only in the real estate field, I think it's in life. We think that we've come to this peak in our life and we don't need the growth and the coaching. I always encourage to have some type of coach. I'm reading this book now. It's called Relentless. And it's about Michael Jordan's trainer, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade's trainer. And they never stopped training with this guy at the peak of their athletic careers. So if Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, has a coach, well, you as a real estate agent should have a coach all the time. And the importance of having a mentor and coaching is accountability. I think that's something that a lot of people underestimate. Even when it comes to working out, I still have a personal trainer. I've played in the CFL. I've been a professional athlete, but that doesn't mean that there's not a trainer that could teach me something I don't know and that can hold me accountable to our workouts. As human beings, you're naturally going to let yourself off the hook. I don't care how great you are, how strong your mind is. You're naturally going to peak. You're going to plateau and say, okay, I did enough. You need that person in your ear to say you can do more, because growth is the one thing in life that you have to continue to seek as you get older. So I am strong in encouraging to have a coach in all areas, whether that's therapy, whether that's your personal life, your physical life, mental life, spiritual life, and even in your career. Have a coach in all of those areas to push you that extra mile so you don't plateau.
Yeah. The accountability point is huge, right? I mean, real estate, for the most part, most people are individual agents. And so it's you on your own.
Yes.
And if you sit there and you say, I'm going to spend 20 minutes every morning to generate leads, you're the only one who's going to hold yourself accountable for that. And, you brought up a good point of that's where a mentor really steps in as that accountability partner, right? And it probably works both ways in most cases, where they're an accountability partner for you, but you are also an accountability partner for them, right? They've promised you to help you in this process. And so it's on you to also make sure that they're helping you where you need help and where you need assistance. So I love the accountability piece because, again, this is a very individual-based business.
Yes.
And it's important to make sure you put people in your life, in your business, that are going to help you get to where you want to go, because as we also know, the market ebbs and flows, and you may not always have a listing. And so I'm sure it's really hard sometimes to keep that motivation up, right?
It is, yes.
you need a cheerleader in your corner. We all do.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that accountability portion of it and how a mentor can really provide that to you. So I want to position a little bit different, really. So you just recently opened up RJ Estate as an official brokerage, which is awesome. Fantastic. Congratulations for you.
Thank you.
I want to talk about how you plan on building that team and how you are going to be implementing mentorship actions, that accountability within your own team. So if you're looking at it, if a brokerage team owner is listening, right? How can they actually take those next steps to make sure that they are a mentor to the agents that they're bringing on? They are that educational piece of information. They are that accountability partner for their agents. So what are you going to implement in your business that others can also walk away with?
One, I'm going to continue paying for separate coaching for myself, because for me to fill other people's cups, I need to continue to grow and learn for myself from others, right? So that's step number one. Number two would be just being personable with all of the agents in my team to make sure they know that I'm here on a business level and a friendship level. I want them to feel comfortable. I feel like a lot of people, even myself in this industry, when it came to my team leaders, sometimes I would feel intimidated or feel like it was a competition. I don't want anybody to feel like we're competing with each other. We're all one. We're all a family, right? With that comes, chemistry. You got to make sure that people can talk to you not only about just business, but their personal problems, because you want them to understand that we're here for your whole life. We want you to feel great mentally, physically, and spiritually, because when you feel all of those, when you feel those three, then you could feel the clients feel that as well. And I think a lot of people underestimate that about this industry. They think that, okay, just because my career is going well, then I'm good. But clients feel your energy when you have something going on with your personal life. So you want to make sure all of that is congruent in one. Number three would be, I would make sure that we're all holding each other accountable. They can, like you said, it was a great point you said, you got to hold me accountable too. If I'm not there for you as a mentor, or if I'm lacking in other areas, let me know. And then let's have that healthy conversation, because I want us not to criticize each other in a negative way, but in a positive way. Like, hey, Rudy, I feel like, thank you for A and B, but I feel like if you gave me C, I could just get those 2 extra deals. Then I'm just going to say, you know what? Let's do it. That's great. Because that is, for me, that's a sign of love, is when you hold each other accountable in a positive way and continue to push each other to grow. So that would be my 3 recommendations.
Well, and you also brought up a good point. There's a way to have that conversation, right? So, hey, these are the things that I think are really working well in this mentorship relationship, but I'm really struggling here, and here. And I think if whether the brokerage provided me these resources, or even if you could direct me to a specific set of resources that can really just get me over that plateau, get me over that hill to that next step, is really valuable. So I want to talk about then, I want to follow this up with what are specific resources you look to. So you had mentioned there's a couple books, you've read. I know you listen to podcasts as well. What are maybe must listen to podcasts? Maybe what are must read books? What are other resources that people should really dive into if they're serious about mentorship and improving themselves for this business?
I'm huge on audiobooks, Audible. That's for me. I'm big on Audible books, so I can give you my top recommendations with books. I would say Never Split the Difference. It's a really good book for negotiating, and you're going to have to be a really great negotiator in this industry. The 1 Minute Manager is good for mentorship to teach you how to manage people. The Psychology of Selling, it just teaches you to get into how your clients are thinking. You want to make sure you understand who your client is so that you could provide the right solution for them. Right now, I'm reading a book called The Buyer's Wealth Club. It's by Club Wealth. That's a really good book for being a buyer's agent as well. I would say, what else? First 365 Days of Real Estate is a great book. And The Seven-Figure Agent, or The Millionaire Agent, that was probably one of the books that really changed my perspective in real estate. So I would say those are my top 5 right now.
And what is it about maybe those specific resources that really stood out to you? Was it the tone? Was it just the overall knowledge you could walk away with? Did it give you action steps?
I took a little bit of something from every book. You know, you could take notes all day, but every book gives you that one thing that you just can't get out of your head. So I would say Never Split the Difference taught me just the fact that everybody's on the same team. As soon as you start negotiating and you think that this is like war between you and the other person, that's when it goes bad. So you have to find that happy medium, and there's always a win-win for every side in every negotiation, right? I would say the 1 Minute Manager taught me just how to manage people and how do people think, and also how you train people. Not everybody can move as fast as you, and not everybody moves as slow as you. You got to understand how that person learns, and then you have to teach them in the way that they can really be receptive of what you're teaching them. So you got to really understand people's personalities. Psychology of Selling taught me about your story. Your story is important. Why are you doing this? Why are you in real estate? What is your purpose? If it's about money, if it's about commission, you're not going to last long in this industry. You have to have a deeper meaning. And that book really taught me to find my story and what I'm giving to this world. Whether I never sell a house again or I sell 100 houses, I have to stick to my purpose and what my story is. The Millionaire Agent taught me the importance of prospecting. You have to be an advocate in prospect. You have to call clients. You have to follow up. And you don't have to have closing conversations. You just have to call them. How's your day going? I'm here if you need me, because you want to be in the forefront of all of your clients' minds when they think real estate. If you're not, you already lost the client.
Well, and I think that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of it really comes down to customer service. And I think ultimately what customer service comes down to is just connecting with people and finding that one point, whatever it may be, that really just builds that relationship between you and that potential client, right? And so making sure that by having that empathy, by trying to understand what they're going through, that's how you're going to make the deal. It's not necessarily by just saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Think of me next time you're deciding to sell your house. Plus, your why also goes into your marketing efforts, right? So we talked about in the beginning, there's this foundational element of like, it comes down to customer service and you have to understand your why. And I think that all leads into developing what your brand actually is and having those educational pieces, knowing what the contract is, knowing how the process works, knowing how to understand negotiations. Yeah. But all of that builds into and snowballs ultimately into those other key elements of your business. It snowballs into your marketing. If you know your why, you know what to market. If you know your niche, who the people are that you want to target, you know who to market to, right?
Yes.
So I think that's where we can kind of put a pin back in that initial conversation and set of questions, is that developing those foundational elements and finding someone who can help you develop those foundational elements is really going to put you off and set you off on that right foot and in that right direction.
Great
so
point.
Thank you for sharing those books and those resources. I will be sure to also include those in the show notes as far as what are some good resources for everyone to look into to share with their teams. Additionally, I want to kind of talk about just in general your success in real estate and how having that mentor in place has really helped you build the successful business that you have now, because you're a very qualified agent in San Diego. You've got a lot of major successes to celebrate. So I want listeners to be able to understand how that doesn't just happen to people and how it takes ultimately a team. to build that type of success, right? So I want to understand how maybe those key turning points that maybe a mentor helped you with, or understanding the quality of growth and investing in yourself, were able to get you over that hump and get you into those big successes in your career.
I would say it didn't happen overnight. One thing that my mentor has always taught me is there's fortune in the follow-up. Maybe that's a quote that you guys can send to me on a card, but there's fortune in the follow-up. And like you said, you made a great point about snowball. And I would say that is, if you could put real estate and you put it in an animation, just think of it as a snowball. Over the years, I couldn't tell you when the turning point was. It was just me enjoying the process, enjoying the people that I connect with, and enjoying these stories. Like, we're really helping families build wealth. When you really think about that, you got families that never thought they could buy a house that's buying a house, and you enjoy that journey. Well, you look back and you've built a whole community. I had a client today, and he's like, last year, he was like, "Oh, Rudy, man, I'm sorry. I've been avoiding you." He's like, "But dude, I heard your name like 10 times. And everybody's like, yeah, I bought my house with Rudy." And I never noticed that, like, I'm making that effect throughout San Diego. But it was those snowballing actions over time. And now I have somebody from a year ago coming back to me and saying, let's really do this. So that's what's going to happen with every agent, as long as you take the proper steps. And like you said, the proper steps come into, you have to learn this industry, understand the foundation, and fall in love with the foundation of real estate. Once you do that, you understand your story, and you have to love connecting with people. If you don't love connecting with people, don't be in this industry. But if you love connecting with people, really lean into that. Be genuine about that. And everything else is going to fall into place. You'll understand marketing from that point. Your niche will come to you just by itself. And then you'll know, okay, this is my market. So I think that that's what happened with me. Was I just love the basics of real estate so much that all the perks that came along with it naturally happened. I just looked up and the results were there.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying.
Well, and I love that it comes down to a couple of key pieces of, you ultimately have to love the process of real estate. And I think that's where maybe a lot of agents and professionals who are just getting into the industry or find themselves really stuck in the industry, is that they have yet to actually fall in love with the process of it and the knowledge behind it and the connecting portion, right? Understanding everyone's story, understanding where they're coming from, helping them through this huge life decision that they're about to make, right? If you don't love the process, what are you falling back on when you don't have a listing, or maybe when it's a slow market for you, right? That's what we mean by develop that foundational element, develop your why. Why do you love real estate outside of just the commissions? Because ultimately that's a bonus, right? You do it as your career. That's how you get paid. But why are you in it? Why did you decide to go into that different industry, right? And I think that's, again, too, as we touch on mentorship, that's where having someone from the outside can really help guide you and ask the appropriate questions about why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's where, like I said, that's where a mentor can really help you, is they're asking those appropriate questions.
This is a life lesson. I'm learning that the results don't feel as good as the journey. When you get to that mountaintop, you're still going to say, man, I wish I would have been more present throughout this time. Because every agent, if you really want it, you're going to get there. It's going to happen. But don't fast forward through it. And that's through life. Do not fast forward through your life. Enjoy the ups and the downs. Once you do that, results just come to you. And you get to enjoy everything at once. And the mentorship, like I said, should apply in all of your life. That's on a personal level. That's on a physical level, a mental level, and spiritual level. Do not just have a mentor in real estate, but have a mentor in every aspect of your life, because that's going to help you to continue growing and love the journey. So it all becomes one at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think another cool piece to that too is that it helps you just develop perspectives. So everyone has different perspectives and experiences on things. And by having a mentor, as you mentioned, not just in real estate, but maybe in other aspects of your life, you can have someone who maybe has a different viewpoint than what you had originally thought, right? And I think that's extremely important. And also to the point of, it's really important to understand perspectives and experiences and opinions, especially when you're in a field that is solely based on connecting with people. The more,
Yes.
the more perspective that you can gain from other
Yeah.
people, the more opportunity you have to actually connect with the client or the potential client in front of you, because you've taken the time to absorb all of that information from maybe your coach or your real estate mentor or your spiritual mentor, whoever it may be, right? I think that's a really cool piece to bring up, is that having these different mentors throughout every field of your life is really going to help you when it comes down to building those relationships and building that connection in real estate, because we're all different, right? We all have different perspectives, but by building that knowledge, you're going to be able to develop more empathy towards people, which allows you to connect.
No, it's very true. You know what? And it's crazy you said that. Right before this interview, I had a session with my therapist. And this is my therapist. This is my personal therapist. And we were talking about one of my clients, and the client got what they wanted as far as for their home, but they did not accept the offer. And I was frustrated, and I told him, I'm frustrated. I did my job, but he told me there's primary emotions and there's secondary emotions. And your client is giving you a secondary emotion, but you have not understood what's the primary emotion. It may not be about the money. It may be because they may not want to sell the house right now. Did you ever ask them that? And I never did. And that was just an aha moment of, okay, let me ask my client, hey, we don't have to sell this house right now. We sell it when you're ready. And you never know what you're going to get when you understand people's emotions. But when you just react to somebody else's reactions, then it's just a never ending cycle of reactions. And nobody understands the primary emotion. You're just working on secondary emotion. And that's with my therapist, you know? So you don't find all your answers just through a mentor in real estate. You could find it in other areas of coaching, for sure.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think there's like a term for that secondary emotion. They're called meta emotions.
Yes.
So basically you have an emotion about your primary emotion, as you mentioned. So a good example of this would be like, I feel really upset today. Well, my meta emotion could be, I feel really guilty for being upset about this thing.
Yeah.
But you have to focus on that primary emotion of just be upset. It's okay. You can be upset about something. You can be frustrated. It's fine. Don't feel guilty about the initial reaction that you had to it.
Great point.
So that's a really good point. And I'm glad that you shared that, because I'm sure that happens a lot, especially in this industry.
Yes, it does. And you, like I said, you have to understand people, connect with people. And sometimes it's not about the money. It's just about doing what's best for that person. And when you do that genuinely, well, you have a client for life. If that client doesn't want to sell right now, it's okay. They'll have to sell sometime in the future and they'll come back to you. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, as we begin to wrap up, I do want to just leave us off with this kind of final question, as far as people who are listening. What would be three of everything we've discussed today? What would be maybe three next steps for them to walk away with and go take action on to get themselves, whether that's being a mentor to their team, whether that's in seeking mentorship? What would be three action steps that you would leave for everyone to walk away with?
First action step is fall in love with learning. So those books that I gave you today, go read them. You should be reading or at least listening to a book for at least 2 hours a day. So fall in love with the process of learning. The second thing would be, whether you're a mentor or you're not a mentor, go get a mentor. So go pay for that coaching. Go invest. It's not even an expense. You're investing in yourself. You're going to get that tenfold on the other end. So go invest in coaching. And, my last point would be, understand your why. I'm not discouraging anybody out there who's a real estate agent. I'm just saying, make sure that you really love this and you want to do this, because what if your why is somewhere else? People feel that. People feel that energy, right? When you look at Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, you knew that court, basketball court, that was his why. You knew that he loved this game in and out. And you see that in other people when it comes to acting as well. You just see that emotion pull out of people. So they're going to see that in you in real estate. If they feel like you're in it for the money, it doesn't matter how much you hide it. It doesn't matter how much you think that you're downplaying it. People can feel your energy and know this person really doesn't want to do this. right? Or it's going to come out someday, right? Because real estate is nonstop work. And if you don't love the work, you're going to burn out at some point. So that would be my third thing, is understand what your why is and why you're in this industry. And once you establish those three things, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rudy, for joining us. Where can everyone find you, follow you, buy a house with you, sell a house with you?
www.rjestate.com. My Instagram handle is Broker Rudy. That's BROKERRUDY _ So you can find me there. My personal page is Rudy Johnson 7. You can find me there. Facebook is Rudy A. Johnson. You can find me there. So follow me. You can email me, whatever you like to do. Rudy@rjestate.com. Send me an email. I would love to answer any questions. And I'm here for any mentorship that anybody needs. Like I said, I'm all about giving and filling other people's cups. So that's one thing I'm big on, for sure.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Rudy, for joining us today. I think there was a lot of really great value packed into this episode. So I'm really excited for everyone to hear it. But thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. It was a pleasure. I love it. Please bring me back. I would love to come back for a part 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll make sure we get that on the calendar.
All right. Sounds good. Enjoy your day.
You as well.
Thanks for listening to Curb Appeal. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. This podcast is brought to you by Virtuance. Whether you market one listing a year or thousands, Virtuance is your go-to real estate photographer for consistent, magazine-quality images that are scientifically proven to get results. For more episodes of Curb Appeal, please visit virtuance.com/podcast.